Today, we are talking about one of, if not the greatest rivalry from the PG era. We're talking about the match that's going to main event in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions on June 28th. We are talking about Superman versus Batman. We are talking today, Steve Tesh, about John Cena versus CM Punk and the history of their entire WWE rivalry, all the way from 2008 from 2025. And there's been a 10-year gap where it didn't exist, and we
Yep.
all know why. But we're finally going to get John Cena versus CM Punk in a WWE ring again on June 28th for the first time in over 12 years.
Yep.
Are we pumped for this?
I'm pumped to finally watch this feud live.
Yeah.
Off air, I reminded you that 2008 to about 2013 was my hiatus from professional wrestling. I was never a John Cena guy. I've never been a John Cena guy. And at that time, it was peak everything PG era, and John Cena was just everything about wrestling. And I just didn't enjoy the product back then. I did miss a couple of key points and key things, and this feud between Punk and Cena, I think I would have enjoyed back then because Punk really established himself as the anti-establishment. And I've obviously watched it back, but now that it's going to be live and the roles are completely reversed, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic going into Saudi Arabia. Obviously, we know certain comments that have been said outside of WWE by CM Punk, and obviously we have a vicious version of John Cena. But if anything goes towards what they had as a feud back then, and now that they're older and both more mature and carrying two different characters, which is really interesting to see. I think we're in for something special when it comes to Night of Champions. That's my first point. And secondly, Cena finally having someone that can legitimately crucify him on the mic before getting in the ring and then fully out wrestle him. It's a new dynamic for Cena, especially as a heel.
I think this is where the John Cena farewell tour picks up in a big way. Because we only have 17 dates left, and there's so many more stories that you can tell.
Yep.
But this is the feud that like gets fans' blood pumping. Like CM Punk 1000% can best John Cena on the microphone. He 1000% can best John Cena in ring. Even in 2025, when they're both kind of on their way out, John Cena's got a few months left. CM Punk's probably got a couple years left at best. But CM Punk has always had John Cena's number. Even back in the day when Punk was the heel saying, I'm going to leave with the title. He beat Cena and left with the title, man. That's what John Cena's trying to do this year, which makes this story so full circle. And I feel like it just can't be a one-off match.
No.
I feel like it's going to be a one-off match at Night of Champions, but I feel like they got to tell a longer story with these guys. I mean, that's the whole meaning behind the Summer of Punk was his matches with John Cena, not only in 2011, but in 2012 as well,
Yeah.
before he ended up leaving in early 2014 and left for 10 years. This is one of the greatest rivalries of the PG era, if not the best one, because it brought people like you, Steve, who were just, you didn't want to watch John Cena dominate everybody and be the squeaky clean face of the Wheaties cereal box. Like nobody wanted to see that, and CM Punk came in and kind of changed things up, and all of a sudden John Cena had his Batman to go up against his Superman. You know, John Cena versus Randy Orton is a great rivalry. Some say it's the best PG rivalry of all time, just by the way those two came up together and told their story with a badass heel in Randy Orton and a squeaky clean babyface in John Cena. Cena versus Punk had a lot of just truth to it. The pipe bomb promo brought a lot of people back. That was the first ever Monday Night Raw I ever watched, Steve. That was my introduction to professional wrestling, was that Raw Roulette in Las Vegas, Nevada. Shawn Michaels was the special guest host. John Cena versus R-Truth of all people in the main event in a tables match. CM Punk screwing John Cena, allowing R-Truth to pick up the win. And then CM Punk telling things on that microphone that not only have never really been like said in that way, like true truth storytelling being told on a microphone like that in the PG era, But everything that he said sticks with us today because it turned out to be true.
All of it.
Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, the doofus son-in-law and the idiotic daughter, took over the company from Vince McMahon. There was a moment when his microphone got cut off. He was saying, we do this whole bully campaign ad. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And then his mic cut out. Who knows what he would have said
Oh
about
my
Vince
God.
McMahon?
Yep.
That we all know now. There was also an instance where he said, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. Most amateur fans like me was like, who the hell is Paul Heyman?
Yep.
And then he said, you know who else was a Paul Heyman guy? Brock Lesnar. Who the hell's Brock Lesnar? He's not in this company.
Yep.
Within a year, both of them were back.
Yep.
Talking about New Japan and Ring of Honor.
Yep.
You know, like he was an innovator, a trailblazer in the WWE in an era where like you didn't think you were ever going to see a trailblazer again because WWE conformed to the 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids that watched pro wrestling.
Yeah.
They weren't catering to the Attitude Era, the fans of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the fans of DX and Triple H and Shawn Michaels. They were catering to John Cena, to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was huge in the late 2000s before they ended up forcing him out because of his issues. But like they were catering to that audience, and it wasn't that fun to watch. And the second ever Monday Night Raw I ever went to was 2 weeks later, live. This was my first ever live event, sitting ringside at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. CM Punk comes back from being suspended and has a live contract negotiation in the middle of the ring in the main event with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And then that's where he coins the term voice of the voiceless. That's where he talks about bringing back the WWE ice cream bars. That's where he tells Vince McMahon, Vince, I'll kick you in the nuts and you'll smile at me and like it and show me some respect. I'm a 9-year-old kid thinking like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Telling off his boss like this. This is great. I'm going to go into school and tell my teacher that I can kick him in the balls and he'll smile at me and like it and show me some respect. That's what CM Punk meant to me back in 2011. And that's why it was so big when he returned in 2023. You never thought it was going to happen.
That version.
So now that we're seeing this match that was so legendary in Chicago at Money in the Bank and at SummerSlam, they've had, many matches. I think personally their greatest match ever was on Monday Night Raw in 2013. It was a #1 contender match between Punk and Cena to face The Rock at WrestleMania 29. Cena put up his Royal Rumble status against CM Punk, who just lost the title. 5-star match across the board. CM Punk hit John Cena with a pile driver, which apparently shouldn't have happened. Vince McMahon was furious. John Cena hit his first ever Hurricane Rana at that point in 10 plus years in WWE. These two just have some of the best chemistry, not only in the ring, but on the microphone, because John Cena can bury 99.9% of superstars on the microphone.
Yep.
He can't bury CM Punk. And that's what makes this feud on a different level than John Cena and Cody Rhodes and John Cena and Randy Orton and John Cena and R-Truth and what we're going to see with John Cena and AJ Styles, or John Cena and Seth Rollins, John Cena and Roman Reigns. John Cena and CM Punk is special because of that one X factor. CM Punk can destroy Cena on the microphone for real. We saw Cody Rhodes destroy John Cena on the microphone because they let him.
Yeah.
Phil Brooks will not allow John Cena to destroy him on the microphone because John Cena physically can't do it. And that's what makes this feud, from the beginning of this feud, the first time they ever faced each other in 2008, just in a normal one-on-one match, I believe Punk was just forming the Straight Edge Society. Cena was the WWE champion. They had a match at the Slammy Awards. Their first ever feud was in early 2011 when CM Punk joined the Nexus. This was after Cena took out Wade Barrett finally and closed that chapter with the Nexus. But then CM Punk, who was injured, I think he was on commentary with Michael Cole for like 5 months, all of a sudden hit Cena with a steel chair, and all of a sudden CM Punk's the new leader of the Nexus.
Yeah.
And going into the Royal Rumble that year, Cena and Punk are feuding before CM Punk would go on to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 27. Cena would go on to face The Miz, and then they would kind of reconvene at Money in the Bank that year and put CM Punk in a completely different stratosphere than he was before with the Nexus and with the Straight Edge Society, and as a babyface on SmackDown going after Jeff Hardy and turning heel and becoming the world champion and all that stuff, which was all great.
Mm-hmm.
But the best in the world angle is what took CM Punk to the next level. Walking out with the title, coming back 2 weeks. I mean, I think he should have came back like 6 months later. That would have made it way better.
Yeah.
He only came back 2 weeks later, but he's coming out to Cult of Personality now. He's a new guy.
Yeah.
And you know, like, oh, this guy is a main event star now. Like, he's here to stay. And they're plugging him well. So John Cena versus CM Punk is, in my opinion, the greatest rivalry of the PG era. We get to relive it in a way that we never thought we would ever see, and that is not lost on me. 10 years, we never thought CM Punk was coming back here. The second he returned, I'm fantasy booking. Okay, Punk versus Rollins is going to happen.
Yeah.
Punk versus Reigns is definitely going to happen. But at some point, sometime down the line, and when Cena announced his farewell tour, I'm like, we're definitely getting it one more time. Cena's got to hit all the greats. This can't be a run where he's facing Braun Breaker and he's facing Carmelo Hayes and he's putting over all these young guys, which would be great.
Would be nice.
But I want to see the classics. I wanted to see Cena and Orton. I wanted to see Cena and Reigns one more time. And we're going to get to see Cena versus Punk one more time. And I am so pumped for it. Other than the fact that it's in Saudi Arabia, which I can't stand.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. That's the only problem I have with it.
I'm not gonna lie. I let you go there because I can see your passion in this one, because this is one of those ones where I think it is more for those people that enjoyed this part of the PG era. But there was a couple of things that you mentioned, and I just want to touch on this. A lot of what we see now in WWE and over in AEW is very much built off of this feud between CM Punk and John Cena and the pipe bomb. Things that they teach at the Performance Center about building your character is built off of the Triple H's as the game, the CM Punks as the best in the world, and having that confidence to become, and like Karrion Kross said, become undeniable in his WrestleMania rant. So a lot of things that we're seeing now in stories is built off of the feuds that we're seeing, that we saw in the John Cena and the Randy Ortons, the John Cena and the CM Punks, the Triple H's and the Undertakers, and so on and so forth. The cool part about it, I saw your passion when you mentioned being a 9-year-old kid, seeing this guy talk to Vince McMahon about, I'm going to kick you in the balls and you're going to like it and you're going to ask for another one. That 9-year-old kid was me when Stone Cold Steve Austin was filling Vince McMahon's Corvette with cement and driving beer trucks into the venue and harassing Vince McMahon. That was my version. So CM Punk is your Stone Cold. You know what I mean? Or is my Stone Cold?
The perfect analogy, because I think everybody looks at CM Punk as this generation's Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Cena was this version's Hulk Hogan, this version's Rock.
Yeah.
CM Punk was not Superman. He was Batman.
Yeah.
He was the tweener. He was the outcast. He was the guy that spoke against the machine. And that's what Stone Cold Steve Austin was.
Yeah, and so I understand like why people are so excited for this. And the other part of this is, you're right when you say John Cena allows most people, to ruin him and get those shots in on the mic. It was a verbal violation. And that's the way I'm going to put it. And that might be a hot take. It was a verbal violation and a verbal crucifixion that we witnessed last week on Monday Night Raw from CM Punk, on SmackDown, from CM Punk to John Cena. It was the worst I have ever seen John Cena stand there and take it. And it's not like Punk was telling lies. It was Punk leaning into that 2011 version of himself. But it's also the Punk that went away and knew and did the things that he wanted to do, learned how to put himself across, but still not take away from who he's always been. And now WWE is allowing Punk to lean into that with almost a creative control, because nobody talks to Cena like that, either on the mic, on camera, or behind the scenes from what you hear. And Punk's just like, no, I'm CM Punk. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if this is what you're right. The one thing is, two things. One, hate that it's in Saudi. I think this is a top 4 PLE style match. This is a Mania. This is a Rumble. This is a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series. I really think they pulled the trigger too soon. But as we talked about in a previous video, the Saudi events need something to draw viewers. And nobody in their right mind is going to miss CM Punk versus John Cena. So I see why they did it. But for me, this is way too early in the retirement tour to have Punk Cena.
And again, it's crazy because he's only got 17 dates left. So it's like, how many appearances can you really waste and tell like long-term stories? You can't really. You kind of have to fast feed us these big feuds because there's only a certain amount of dates left. We're more than halfway done.
Yeah.
With this retirement tour, which is crazy because I feel like we haven't even seen the best of it yet, like not even close. But I feel like this could be one of those instances where we see the match at Saudi Arabia. Hopefully they are as into it as the fans in Chicago were on July 17th, 2011, or as into it as fans in Los Angeles were at those SummerSlam events. Because if you're as into it and you love it and the fans are just as invested as those two wrestlers in the ring that night, they'll extend the feud. I could see another match happening at SummerSlam if that's the direction that they want to go in. Because this is just one of those feuds that has more truth to it than it does any sort of phonyism. Like everything that CM Punk has ever said in the ring on a microphone, staring at a camera, has been the truth. Whether he was a heel, whether he was a babyface, talking about Jeff Hardy's sobriety issues, all true.
Yeah.
Talking about how fans are hypocrites because of this, that, and that, kind of true. Talking about how John Cena's a phony and he doesn't actually care about anybody. We find out in 2025 on camera, that's very true. CM Punk has always had a way of telling the truth, no matter what. When he turned heel with the WWE title and Paul Heyman in 2012, he was a heel. He was making fun of the crowd, but like not in a goofy way. He was telling the truth. Kind of like how John Cena kind of tells the truth right now as a heel. It's like he's using the fans' naiveness in a way against them, but like he's not telling lies. He's telling the truth. And that's why this feud is going to be so interesting moving forward. Now, as much as I'd love to see CM Punk roast John Cena again and feed him to the gods of wrestling, like he said on SmackDown, John Cena knows how to cook people. He's never really gotten the chance to cook CM Punk. I want to see John Cena retort, whether it's next week on SmackDown or down the line, building up to Night of Champions, and really take down CM Punk on a microphone, because CM Punk left for 10 years.
Yeah.
He had a UFC career where he went 0-2 and looked like the worst UFC fighter that Dana White has ever promoted.
Yeah.
John Cena can really dig deep into CM Punk's past.
Of course.
And I'd love to see it happen because John Cena has never really had a chance to burn CM Punk on a microphone.
I'm pretty sure
now he's got ammunition.
I'm pretty sure he could even go personal, because didn't AJ Lee and John Cena have something before CM Punk?
Dude, there is footage on Monday Night Raw of Cena and AJ Lee making out.
Exactly.
Put that on the Titantron.
Oh, there's so much that you could do. There's something though I think they're building, because you have referenced that the 17 dates have really come up quick. Like, last week it was, in my mind, Elimination Chamber, and now we're almost under the road to SummerSlam. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at this, and we had an interesting segment where there was LA Knight, there was Randy Orton, there was Ron Killings, there was CM Punk, all involved with John Cena. Now, the one thing that it all played out to, and I'm just fantasy booking, back in 2011, we had, who was it, Edge as Money in the Bank holder at that point?
2011, it was Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto, and didn't he
get... So Ed retired that year.
Yeah, so didn't Vince McMahon send somebody out that had the Money in the Bank?
Yeah, he sent out Alberto Del Rio.
So if you're looking at that, and you've got all these people talking about, oh, I'm involved with Cena, and Cena saying, I'm leaving and I'm ruining wrestling. Could this all be one big long-term 1-year build to have basically the locker room step out of everyone that Cena's feuded with over the year and say, you're not going anywhere with that title. Somehow we're going to get this title off of John Cena. Somehow.
That's where I think it has to build to. Like, you listen to like the like the big people who work for WWE, like the Sam Roberts, for example, great host.
Yes.
Love Not Sam Wrestling. He is the tribal chief of podcasts and wrestling. The podcast tribal chief, as he likes to call himself. He has never once even considered the idea of John Cena retiring as a heel. He fully thinks at some point John Cena's turning babyface before this run is over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he needs to turn babyface. I think if you want to tell the story that you're currently telling, John Cena needs to be the WWE champion on his final night.
Yeah.
For this story to have any sort of credibility. You can't say I'm going to ruin wrestling by taking the title and retire with it and then just drop the title halfway through, say at SummerSlam, and then you slowly turn him babyface again because we want to see the nostalgia act one last time before he goes. We saw it for 25 years.
Yeah.
We're finally getting a version of John Cena we never thought we were going to see, and this is the gift. So I want to see John Cena retire as a heel and threaten to retire with that championship on his final night. And I agree. I think the whole roster rallies around, minus like Logan Paul and maybe Seth Rollins, but like the whole roster rallies behind and says, we need to take this guy out.
Yeah.
Who's going to save us?
It would be very interesting for the final shot of Cena, instead of the Cinderella song and dance of, you know, whoever beats him for the title dives out the ring and, you know, kind of walks up the ramp and lets him have his moment. It would be really cool if them going off the air is a beaten down heel John Cena with no title laid out in the middle of the ring after Carnage, and that's how they go to black. It's just Cena laid out. Like, you literally, and I don't refer to him as the greatest of all time. I love that he has this stigma, this whole thing built around it now for this run as the greatest of all time, how he's trained the announcers, the never seen 17 greatest of all. I love this. Imagine the greatest of all time having to be beat down by every top star on the roster, and then him just laid out, and that title is safe in WWE. But at least Cena still gets his ending, but the ending is something that we've never seen.
I could also see them going the route of whoever he drops the title to, he gets up and shakes their hand and then raises their hand, and he kind of like leaves as like, okay, that was an honorable thing.
Typical Cena.
And then says goodbye.
Yeah. Typical Cena.
But I think going into his final match, he needs to be that heel that threatens to ruin wrestling.
Oh, of course. And the only thing that concerns me right now is this faction with Seth Rollins, because I'm still adamant that Seth Rollins goes for the WWE Championship or the Undisputed Championship and not the World Championship. I'm still on this path of this. Seth is a great heel. This faction is a heel faction. If it has to be Seth to save WWE, it completely flips everything on its head with what they've built with the faction. So I don't know who beats him. Does it have to be
also,
Cody?
like, I know they're both heels. Like, Cena and Rollins are both heels, but Cena says he wants to ruin wrestling. Seth Rollins wants to, I don't know if he said verbatim he wants to save wrestling, but his goal is to take wrestling into the future.
He
that's
has said that. He has said that.
Right? So that's the interesting thing. Like, he wants to save wrestling. But even John Cena said on SmackDown, like, Seth Rollins doesn't want to cash in on me. He wants to see me walk out with this so he can be the only champion. But, like, that also wouldn't make sense because Seth Rollins wants to save WWE.
He almost wants to be that.
While benefiting, but, like, he wants to save it into the next era while fans are kicking and screaming. Like, he wants to take us into this regardless if you look at me as a good guy or a bad guy. So maybe by the end of the year he finds a way and cashes in. I don't know.
I don't mean to be punny, but he almost wants to be WWE's Messiah, doesn't he? Yeah. So I don't know, man. The way we're looking at this John Cena CM Punk thing, I think, again, the one equal consensus we both have is it's very early, but I don't think we can wait much longer. But I think whatever we get at Saudi is really going to turn the tide for this rest of this John Cena retirement tour.
Let me ask you this. Do you think we're going to see like a big, like, triple threat, fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way-esque match at one point? Because he's only got 17 dates left, and you want to cross off all of these people. Like, what if SummerSlam's the night you don't go with Cena versus Rhodes one-on-one? Maybe you do like Cena, Rhodes, Punk, Orton,
I know this sounds
Reigns.
I know this sounds crazy, but like I was thinking of the final match, and it was almost like, all right, well, Cena's final night is in Boston. It's in the Garden. We need, like, the general managers have to come together. We need to save the Undisputed Championship from leaving. I was almost thinking like of a gauntlet match. Like, Cena has to run the gauntlet of everyone he's feuded with for the entire year, and it could be a 1 hour full-fledged or a 90-minute gauntlet match for Cena. Make Cena work for it, and then finally, our Roman Reigns is the final entrant, or Cody Rhodes is the final. The pops just get bigger and big. Make it the most overbooked thing since WrestleMania 40 Night 2. Like, hell, if you can find a way to do it, have Travis Scott's music hit or something and come and help Cena take out Randy Orton. The Rock comes out and takes out Roman, and that builds to Rock Roman somehow. Make it the most overbooked craziness to send Cena off the way Cena deserves to be sent off.
Yeah, with like no box unchecked.
No, exactly. Just like they did at 40. 40 was no boxes unchecked, except for we didn't get Austin. Okay? We didn't get Austin. That's the only thing I can say about WrestleMania 40 about it not being, like, it was still perfect, but Austin would have been the cherry. You know what I mean? You look at the swan song for John Cena, run the gauntlet of 2025 and everyone you feuded against. That makes it to the point where, okay, we say CM Punk is too early. Well, we're still going to get Cena versus Punk at the end as well. We're going to get Cena versus Roman, Cena Cody, Cena Ron Killings, Cena Jay. Just have him run the gauntlet. Make the whole show.
And what would be interesting about that, Steve, too, is by the time you get to the final two competitors, you're thinking, holy shit, John Cena's beating all of these guys. Like, this is a very honorable thing. Like, he is the greatest of all time. Like, fans might even get behind John Cena by the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. And
then at the end of the night, he gets to wave off and shake everybody's hand and say goodbye.
It could also be how everyone's saying, how Sam says he's going to be a face by the time he leaves. A match like that, almost like Dominic Mysterio winning the IC title. He was a heel going in. He was a face coming out. You know what I mean? This could be the exact way to do it.
Side note on the IC title, do you think it's a box unchecked having Cena never win the Intercontinental Championship?
Nah, just because of what Cena has done and accomplished. I don't think he needs it. It's, there's so much. It just doesn't make sense. It's a miss for sure. Somewhere in his career, he could have had it. But now, I don't think anyone's going to say there's a blemish on John Cena's career because he didn't win the IC championship. You know what I mean? Now, Dominic Mysterio, on the other hand, in 10, 15 years' time, if they say, oh, Dom never won this, because Dom is arguably, and everyone speaks about this already, Dom is going to be that guy down the line just because he's so good and so talented and he's learning so quickly. If Dom is missing something, the way he came through, I would say, okay, there's a miss. John Cena, I don't speak about John Cena a lot, but I will say John Cena does not have a blemish on his career, and the IC title is definitely not going to be what people could argue about. I will laugh if anyone decides, oh, John Cena never won the Intercontinental Championship in a 25-year career of basically becoming what everyone views as the greatest of all time. Come on. You know what I mean? So
that's the thing. He was U.S. champion. He was tag team champion, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania main event, 17-time world champion, beat The Rock, he beat Punk, he beat Shawn Michaels, Triple H, but he never won that one title that would have made him a Grand Slam champion.
Fair enough, but you look at the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He basically did it all, but Stone Cold has a blemish on his record because he took his ball and went home. And people can argue, would a company man do that? John's done everything the company's asked him to do, and some. You know what I mean? He's gone out to Hollywood and brought viewers into WWE because of what he's done and how he has held himself accordingly outside of the business as well. You got to look at his Make-A-Wish Foundation. There's a list. There's a wait list to meet John Cena for Make-A-Wish, which is kind of, if you think about it. Anyways, but that part of it is John Cena has done everything for the company to make the company take the company where it needed to go to be handed off to the likes of Roman Reigns and the likes of Cody Rhodes to make, and the Seth Rollins of the world, for them to make the company where it is now with the TKO and Endeavor position. Without John Cena, the stock is not growing. And inside the business, he's done everything that needs to be done. The blemish that he didn't win the IC title and become a Grand Slam champion, who cares? Who cares? He's done everything else and more than anyone else potentially on the current roster and future roster would ever do for this business. There you go. I said something nice about John Cena, guys. So, but Jack, stop it. All right, guys, we're going to leave it at that. In the comments, let's leave it on that one. Is John Cena not a Grand Slam champion and being a blemish on his record and, history in WWE? And is CM Punk versus John Cena wasted, or is it a plus in Saudi Arabia? Guys, see you tomorrow.